Greetings, peace and blessings. Happy Sunday. How are y'all doing today? We just had a full moon in Aquarius this morning at 5:01 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am feeling heavy. I actually feel pretty heavy this morning. The Aquarius energy is that of Aquarius energy is you often hear me say it's like the blueprint, right? And the blueprint is what God intended for you, like your reason for being here. So Aquarius is a very regal, it's the mind of God, right? So in honor of Aquarius, I'm like wearing my queen's dress, and generally I would not have on this throne because Aquarius is much more of a futuristic kind of idea. It's more like, where we're going, but because Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, is in Taurus, I wear flowers for you today. Yay! Okay, so Aquarius is an energy that is asking us to really come home to who we are at our core, right? Like remember your blueprint. And during this time, this is our second Aquarius full moon, and what we're doing, we're really being realigned. Yesterday I talked about how the energy for the last new and full moon since September have been like taking, like when you're walking upstairs and when you were a child and you could walk up 3 stairs at a time, and you would take every 3 steps or every 2 steps. So that's what the new and full moons have been for us since this last September. But now they have come back into alignment where they're in oppositions again. So we're now no longer needing to really do deep work to integrate energies that are very unalike, right? It's the energies have been where we had to give up something. We had to give up some aspect of ourselves. But now we're back into the sort of like the flat way it is. So we had a new moon in Leo and we're having a full moon in Aquarius today. And so the new moon in Leo is your regal royal energy. It's your creative self-expression. It's the thing that makes you really who you are. It's the way you function. It's sort of the formulation of this energy before it comes through your nurturing, before you sort of become who before you start trying to adapt, right? Before you start trying to fit in and belong. And if you remember when you were a teenager, I don't know what kind of teenager you were, but I was the kind of teenager that really didn't have confidence. It was a really interesting thing. Like I didn't see myself or know myself because of the circumstances of my home environment. So I was often looking outside of myself for a sense of belonging. I was looking for what everyone else said was pretty and what everyone else said was smart and what everyone else said was desirable, so that I could then attune and align myself to those frequencies to be true to myself in that way. But that is not what Aquarius is, and that is not what Leo is. Leo says you find that inside of yourself. You don't look outside of yourself. So this Aquarius energy is really asking us to drop our attachment to the outside identity. Like, so literally do not pick up your cues from what's going on externally. Begin to pick up your cues from really what's going on inside of yourself. Your own imagination. That is what Aquarius is. Aquarius is the vision. It's where you're going. I know when I used to study with Michael Beckwith at Agape, he taught this process called the visioning process, where we would sit down and ask ourselves questions. What do I need to focus on? What's the best choice for me to make? What do I need to let go of? Like you ask yourself that, right? Like for me, when I'm in a relationship with someone, I will ask myself, what do I need to learn in this relationship with this person? What is this person here to teach me? And let me tell you this, right? I've always talked about how my mother was a prostitute, and I really learned from my mother what it really meant to be a gold digger, really, from the perspective of a feminine. or of the feminine. And listen, I tell you, I really feel like women get it all wrong when they're looking to a man to get his money. Money is a thing that's, the world relies upon. I actually am like, if you really want to be a real gold digger, like, get clear about the essence of the person you're with. And you want to be able to access how you can really learn from the person to be the best. Like, what do people exhibit? So the men in my life, when I want to embody some aspect, so if I really want to be rich, I'll date a rich man, not for his money, but for his mindset and his energy and what I can learn from him and how he does things. And not the things that he says, but the things that I can watch and witness. And, oh, he gets up at this time. He eats this way. He talks this way. He does business this way. He works this long. I don't want his money. I don't want his money. That's old. I want his energy, his essence. Like, how does he create the reality that he builds? I want that, right? So that's what my mother taught me. That's what real, exchange is. It's like really learning from people what they're good at. You know what I mean? It's like, pay attention though. You got to pay attention. We're so focused on the external that we don't look at the internals, right? So you want to look at the fruit you want to look at the fruit. Hold on 1 second. Offset. You do not go in the kitchen. I'm a squirter. You want to look at the fruit that a tree bears. And you want to understand the seeds of that fruit. You don't want the fruit. You want the seeds of the fruit. Do you get it? Like, that's the bigger thing, right? So, the Aquarius energy is asking us to stop looking outside of ourselves. Don't look at the externals. Don't look at the externals in a person. Look at what you see in them that helps them create what they create. What drives them? What motivates them? Why are they the way that they are? Veronica says, I'm always wanting to understand your seeds. Yes. That's exactly what it is. So the real thing is to understand what makes people who they are. What makes you who you are? What's your internal thing? And that's the Aquarius full moon energy. What's the seed of you? What's the blueprint of you? And if you don't understand your own blueprint and your own seeds, then look at the people in your life. Look at the people that you hang out with. Look at the people that you spend time with. They will show you who you are. They will show you your true self, because what they're up to is what you're up to. Birds of a feather flock together. Ta-da! So, the Aquarius full moon, literally this energy is asking us to come home to our blueprint. And here's the thing, your blueprint isn't fixed. You only have the frequency, like you have what you have, but you can rearrange it to be anything you want it to be. So when I was born, my blueprint was that I was hanging out with people. I was born into a family of people who, like, I had an uncle who was a bank robber, and my father was a pimp, and my mother was a prostitute, and my, great-grandfather was a minister, and I had a great-grandfather who was a rapist. And so that was the energy that I came here with. But then I started looking at it and going, this is really powerful. This is really powerful energy. Like, it takes a lot of fucking power to wield those internal forces in your sexuality to have sexual power. These things, this is a real lot of power, but you cannot be attached to how it outpictures. You can't be attached to the external experience of it. You have to go into the internals and go, okay, how do I rearrange this so that it becomes Queen Monique, the moon mama, right? Because you have to take what you are given so that you work with what you're given and you make it into your own glorious, beautiful creation. You give it your own vision. What is it that you need to let go of? What do you need to reconfigure? What do you need to put in this position? What do you need to move out of that position? This is what the Aquarius energy is. It literally is the ability to rearrange your blueprint to become the God, goddess person that you claim you are. It's something that's so amazing that I'm beginning to understand. In this country, they trap us because we don't have access to our imagination. They literally give us movies and all these stories. They give us all the stories and the outcomes so that we don't spend time believing in ourselves and imagining and thinking and dreaming and just giving ourselves permission to be all that we desire to do. We don't do it. We just don't do it because we have so many scenarios of failure. And if I did this, then this will happen. When I was a little girl, my grandmother would be so afraid that something negative was going to happen to me. Why? Because she was a black woman in this country and she'd had so much experience that proved that negative things happen to black people. So she continued to tell those stories into my reality, and then my reality soon was becoming the very thing that she believed it was. So we got to really reclaim the narrative. We got to claim the story back because that's really where the power is. And so when you begin to tell yourself another story, begin to reconfigure your story, then you can create new outcomes through your imagination. Mountains will move if you imagine that they will. You know, the Bible said you can speak thee to the mountain and say, mountain, be thee removed, and it will move. But you have to imagine that you can do that. You have to be able to close your eyes and actually see in your own imagination, in your own mental pictures, in your own mind, the mountain picking up its motherfucking skirt and being like, all right, bitch, I'm moving out the way. That's what you have to do. You have to imagine the obstacles that are in your life vanishing, dissolving, being absolutely washed away. And when you do that, what will happen? They will move because you have moved them in your mind. But you have to believe in who you are. You have to absolutely know that you have the power. And guess who has all the power in your mind? Who has more power than you in your mind? Boop. You give it to yourself, right? It's all you. It's all you. So today in the Aquarius full moon, we are absolutely reimagining ourselves in the vision that we desire ourselves to be in. And we will not let go of that vision until it absolutely manifests in the way that we desire it to. The sun today is moving into Virgo, the first day of Virgo, and the sun is moving into the first day of Virgo. The sun is at the 29th degree of Leo when I looked, and like I said, that is the energy of the inner child, right? And you have to play with that child energy. Literally, when you're a child, one day when I was a new mother, my son was about 3 or 4 years old, I would pick him up from his daycare and he would have on a fairy dress, right? He would have on a fairy dress. And and everybody had so much stuff around it, right? Because here this little boy is wearing a fairy dress. But fairy fucking dresses are fun. Look at it. Who wouldn't want to wear a fairy dress? Who wouldn't want to wear a fairy dress? And so he would have on the fairy dress, and the father would be like, my son is wearing a fairy dress. And the teacher and I agreed, like, you let him wear his fucking fairy dress until he doesn't want to wear it anymore. Because when you're a child, you get to imagine yourself. And as adults, we project the fear. Like my grandmother, don't do that. It's fearful. Don't put on the dress. It's going to make you gay. That's bullshit. Your imagination is your wand. Your imagination is your key the fuck out of the reality that you don't want to be in. Your imagination is your red carpet into the consciousness, into the experiences that you desire to be. Your imagination is free in your childhood. And so when we impose all this bullshit onto our children, telling them what they can't and can't imagine, we are locking them into a prison that is our reality that we are also locked into. So let it go. Let it go. Let them be free. Let them wear dresses. Let them wear crowns. Let them wear uniforms. Let them wear wings. Let them ride on spaceships. Let them do all of that, because their imagination will lead them to the reality that will one day be their truth. And the same is true for you. So I encourage you today in the Aquarius full moon, the last day with the sun in Leo, to really open your heart to the playfulness within you. Play with your children, play with the child inside of you, and give yourself permission to imagine the world that you desire. One that doesn't have this motherfucking COVID shit going on. Imagine the world without this bullshit ass illness. Imagine people learning how to heal themselves. Imagine people moving their bodies into new frequencies so that anything that would cause sickness would drop off of them and turn into the nothingness from which it really is. Imagine people beginning to think in new ways that are in alignment with nature and cycles and freedom and happiness and joy and love and unconditional experiences of possibilities that God can be as each and every one of us. Imagine yourself leading the way in that. Imagine yourself as the leader in a new reality where people are motherfucking happy and singing and dancing and swaying their hips and making love and eating healthy foods and dancing in the sun and climbing mountains and swimming oceans and being as free as they can be. Imagine that shit. Imagine a world that we actually can have a good time in. And when you do that, then walk into your imagination fully embodied in the power that you are the very thing that you imagine, and that everyone in your reality has to fall prey to the frequency of love and joy and possibilities that you have created. They don't have a chance against your power. So everyone will either come in and make the adjustment and put a smile on their fucking face and open their hearts and get happy, or they will go into another reality where they can be in the slow precision towards death. It's all good. Either way, it doesn't matter, because we're all doing the same thing. And if you choose to walk off this mortal coil into another reality, that's all you're doing, is walking off of this mortal coil into another reality. And soon you'll be right back again. All right. Peace and blessings. Happy full moon in Aquarius. I love y'all. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.